Today I'm going to show you how to make a Ciri build in Elden Ring. Now, if you don't know who Ciri is, first, what are you doing with your life? And now I'm saying that as someone who has just recently played The Witcher 3 for the first time in my entire life, so please don't take this personally, as I too am an idiot. But Ciri is one of the most beloved daughters in gaming history. She is an amazing character from the Witcher series, the games which are based on the books, and the show which is based loosely on the books and the game. But Ciri is a special character in which she has magic powers because of her blood. Now I wanted to replicate this in the game. And the way I achieved this is by using two straight swords. Now I know ultimately when you're using straight swords in this game, it's gonna be a bit boring because the moveset is just boring, let's be honest. But to fully replicate Ciri's power, which is the ability to travel between worlds, to phase in and out, and to dodge, you already know where I'm going with this. The regular longsword, we're going to be using a Bloodhound Step to simulate her being able to dodge and phase in and out of the world to be able to avoid hits. And we're going to set the affinity to Keen, so we'll be able to use a magic buff on the weapon to make it look like the effect of Ciri's magic, which is kind of more turquoise-ish, but I mean, we'll settle with the blue. And the second weapon we'll be using is the Lord's Sworn Straight Sword. Now on that weapon we will actually have Carrion Grandeur because it turns your weapon big, magic-y, and it does a frick ton of damage. Now I know it's not the most accurate thing out there, maybe we could use something like Raptor of the Mist perhaps, but I really wanted that magic element to this build. And at the same time, the Lord's Sworn Straight Sword scales way better with magic than it does with dexterity. So of course this is going to be a dexterity and int build. At level 150, I put 43 points into vigor, 30 points into endurance, 20 points into mind. The biggest mind-sucking spell you have, obviously, is the magic buff on your weapon, but because of some talismans you're going to use, you won't have to use it a lot during a fight or a sustained long fight like a boss fight. And of course we're going to hit the soft caps, both dexterity and intelligence, which is 55 for both. Now you need to actually spend 2 points into strength to be able to wield the two swords, so it really depends on which classes you start with, but for this specifically I started with an astrologer to have more intellect. But I think prisoner would actually be the most optimal class you should choose to start this character with. And what's really cool about this is that all this stuff you can actually get really early on in the game, or most of it you can, so you don't need to wait till end game to make this build. I think it's pretty fun, and from the footage you'll see it takes some getting used to. Not only haven't I played this game for a while now, I've never used Bloodhound Step in my entire life, so it was a bit choppy at times, but I think this build will not be bland and boring. It feels like you're playing Ciri because you can dodge between attacks and just have that sense that you're phasing between their attacks. Now that we talked about how the build works and what you need, I'm going to show you where to get everything you need to make the build. So for the fashion, I went with the prisoner top, the leather gloves, and the leather boots. I think both the gloves and the boots really simulate that Ciri look. Now there isn't a really good white shirt you can use in this game. You can use the leather set, like the full leather set, and it does feel like a Witcher clothing, but you know, again, Ciri's shirt is white and I really don't like it. Now you can use this, but it's a bit too long and flowy for my liking. This is just gonna be a no for me, dog. You can use this, but again, it looks more like Triss to me than it does Ciri. And of course, like I said, the leather set, it looks good, but it just doesn't have that Ciri vibe to me, so I really like the prisoner shirt. So that's the look I was going for with the vanilla items that we can use in the game. Now, if you're like me and you're on PC and you love mods, there are mods that actually will give you Ciri's exact clothing and her exact player model if that's what you're looking for, as well as her sword. So I will put the links to these in the description of the video. And as I mentioned in the first part of the video, we're going to be using two straight swords for this build. So the Lord's Sworn Straight Sword is really easy. You can actually get it at the very start of the game. You have to farm it from the guys here at the Gatefront Ruins. right here. Now the longsword is the weapon you get if you start as a vagabond, but as I said, you should probably start as a prisoner for this build, but you can also buy it from the Twin Maiden husks at the Round Table Hold. And now we're going to need a staff to be able to put the magic buff on our weapon. Honestly, you can use any staff you want. It really doesn't matter that much, but it doesn't even affect the spell that we use, so it's really up to you. Now, if you want to get this staff specifically, you have to come to Liurnia of the Lakes, and you'll find it in the Highway Lookout Tower that's located right here. So the first Ash of War we'll be using is Bloodhound Step. You can find it in Dragonburrow, so it's in Caelid. And you'll see there's a rise here, it's called Lenny's Rise. There will be a nice cavalry that will spawn on this bridge at night, and you need to defeat him to get this Ash of War. Now, to get Carian Grandeur, you actually have to go to Caria Manor here, which is in Liurnia of the Lakes. Now, to get the only spell we're going to be using, Scholar's Armament, you only need to go visit Sorceress Selin at the Waypoint's Runes, which is located in Limgrave, and it's right here. For the talismans, we'll be using the Graven Mass Talisman or Sorcery to do more damage, so the magic buff on our weapon will do more damage. Old Lord's Talisman, so that the buff on our weapon will stay longer. Radagon Icon to shorten the spell casting time, and Shard of Alexander to boost the attack power of our skills, which will only affect Carian Grandeur. Now, I do show the exact location of all these things in previous videos, however I will go over them anyways. For the Shard of Alexander, you need to complete Alexander's entire quest line up to the point where you get to the secret Farum area. You're going to meet him in this area right here, and once you defeat him, you'll be able to get that. For Radagon Icon, you need to come to the Parlor Side of Grace in the Academy here. And once you leave that building after fighting Red Wolf Radagon, you only need to go right, then go right again, and you're going to jump over a railing, go up a ladder, and you're going to like basically be at the top of that building, and there will be a chest there and you can loot that talisman from it. For the Graven Mass Talisman, this is the endgame area, the consecrated snowfields, and you need to go to this tower and solve the small riddle, and you'll be able to loot the talisman from there. For the Old Lord's Talisman, you need to go to the Farum again, where the under the bridge Side of Grace is, and instead of going to the Malekith boss fight, you want to go to the left, and you'll be able to loot the talisman from a chest in a room that has like some pretty strong enemies, and there is an invader there, so be careful. So I really hope you enjoyed this build. It's been a long time since I've made one, and it was really fun to get back into it. So let me know what you think about it, and if you have attempted to make your own Ciri build. Other than that, everyone, have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you all very soon.